Welcome to another XXX review. Today we take a look at Rise of the Tomb Raider on Xbox 360. How does it stack up in Xbox 360? Well, it's truly another amazing game. In this sequel, Lara wants to find the truth about immortality based on the books she found on her father's journals. Without spoiling too much away, this will take Lara Croft into a very adventurous journey that will make her discover new allies, new amazing discoveries, and new enemies, including the Great Dark Force of Trinity, which introduces us to a very interesting new villain. Again, I won't really spoil you much the details of the story, but what I can do tell you is that it's well told, the story. It's not completely perfect, but it's very nicely told. You get to see the point of view of the hero and you get to see the point of view of the villain. It's been a long time since we have seen so much development to the villain side of the story, so I think that was pretty neat. And overall, it's a really fun, engaging story that keeps you on your toes in the adventure. But the really great thing about this game is the exploration that you can do on this world. Despite that this is the Xbox 360 version that I play, the game is still really big, still offers lots of temples. Pretty much the content is exactly the same, just with less high definition graphics, but still looks really great. The exploration on this sequel is truly spectacular. Now Lara can find more ancient stuff with new features like the ability to make Lara's language skills upgrade as she reads more ancient texts or monoliths for a more true Tomb Raider experience. And the game itself is actually full of different ancient tombs and sites to see, so you don't really have to go strictly to optional tombs in order to get the Tomb Raider experience, because the main story does feature some really cool looking tombs and very puzzle solving situations. It really brings back some of the great elements of the classic Tomb Raider games that was clearly missing on the first reboot of the game. Just like in the previous game, you can collect stuff around the area that you find, like pieces of a tree, mushrooms, and other things, so you can upgrade your weapons and become a better warrior in the end. But now you can actually prepare while in the middle of combat different things like molotovs. You can heal yourself in the middle of battle with these tools. You can quickly create more arrows for your bow during combat with these tools that you collect throughout the world, so it really provides a more fast-paced experience as well. Speaking of the combat is actually much better than last time. They managed to fix quite a bit the stealth mechanics. Now there's much more options to do stealth, so you don't have to quickly jump in and start doing combat like crazy. Instead, now you can go a bit more slowly and quietly, taking out enemies, because now you can get implants to hide and enemies won't spot you, or there's other new items so that you can throw throughout the area to distract enemies. Now you can even climb trees and from top of a tree take out an enemy. There's really a lot of options on how to deal with combat. And it's much more balanced than last time, where you had waves and waves of enemies coming out of nowhere on Yamatai. This time, the enemies don't come as often, they're more specific on certain areas. There is sometimes, if you're in the enemy's base or something, that you will see more enemies spawn, but it doesn't feel like it's being exaggerated. And it actually makes more sense because the enemies are more of a militia. That being said, this time I can definitely say I spend much more time exploring, walking, scaling, climbing, hiking, doing all those stuff, much more than just playing combat, which although the other game did have some moments of exploration, it was mostly running to survive, avoiding obstacles, falling down everywhere. Although you have a lot of those moments here too where things are all falling down, it still manages to concentrate more on adventure, on exploration. And this transitions really well because you get to see a more firm Lara, a more stronger Lara, and more determined and prepare for the situation. Also, what you're seeing here is Xbox 360 footage I recorded using my camera recording the TV. So of course it's not completely perfect, the transition, because it's not a game capturing device, but you can still see that it still has some pretty great details, the game overall. Also, the main cutscenes look just like the Xbox One graphics, so you can at least have a little bit of that graphic visuals while playing the 360 version throughout some of the main cutscenes. In terms of performance, the game performs really well. Considering how big it is and how much stuff is going on, it doesn't really require you to go through loading screens or anything like that. It's like the previous installment in that sense. There is some moments of slow frame rate, but it's usually when there's too much going on at combat, like too many explosions, but it doesn't affect your gameplay or anything like that. It's just a few slowdowns here and there that can pretty much happen in any Xbox 360 game. But otherwise, the game really works very smooth and offers a lot of great presentation overall. You're only seeing footage here of the winter areas, but there's other areas with much more green. There's more hidden caves, temples, there's a lot of lighting changes, and this version really handles it really well. Lastly, another great thing about this game, besides the really amazing production values overall, is the fact that it has so much content to explore after you finish the story. There's a lot of things to collect, there's quite a lot of optional tombs to explore. They're much more challenging than on the previous game. And there's just so much to do on this land. You can spend hours and hours just collecting. You really feel part of this world that you're discovering and exploring all the way through. And every single place feels different. Whereas on the previous game, I felt at times some things looked way too similar to the previous map or were not simply that much interesting. Here everything feels interesting. Really great amount of content overall. So I definitely say if you have an Xbox 360 and don't have an Xbox One, you definitely should try this game. Go get it. This is definitely a great final hurrah for the Xbox 360. It's truly a spectacular game to end your run with the Xbox 360. Definitely. And it's definitely one of the best games of this year, and one of the best games overall. Especially if you're a Tomb Raider fan, you're definitely going to enjoy this a lot. We give Rise of the Tomb Raider a 9.5 out of 10.